Have you ever taken a shortcut that you instantly regretted? One that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and your heart pound in your chest? I have, and I am about to tell you a story that still makes me check over my shoulder whenever I am alone. It was a late Tuesday evening, just after my shift at the local diner. The air was thick and humid, the kind that promises a thunderstorm. Usually, I'd take the long way home, the well-lit main road that looped around the edge of town. But that night, I was exhausted. My feet itched, my head was pounding, and all I wanted was my bed. That's when I remembered the old pedestrian tunnel. It got straight under Blackwood Hill, shaving a good 15 minutes off my walk. Locals called it the Whisper Tunnel. Old stories, you know. The kind you hear as a kid and dismiss as folklore. They said it was a remnant of an old railway line, abandoned decades ago. People said strange things happened in their echoes that weren't your own. Shadows that moved when you didn't. I'd always laughed it off. It was just a concrete tube, right? Tonight, the convenience outweighed the creepy stories. The entrance was a dark, gaping mouth framed by overgrown ivy. The single flickering light bulb above it cast long, dancing shadows, making the entrance look like it was breathing. I hesitated for a moment. My gut, that primal instinct we all have, was screaming at me to turn back. But my tired legs won the argument. "Don't be a child," I muttered to myself, and stepped inside. The temperature dropped instantly. The air was damp and smelled of wet earth and something else. Something metallic and faintly sweet, like old rust mixed with decay. The sound of my footsteps was immediately swallowed by the oppressive silence. The tunnel was longer than I remembered. A perfect, dark cylinder with a pinprick of light at the far end, my goal. The only illumination came from the spaced-out, caged bulbs along the ceiling. Were weak and many were broken, creating pools of absolute darkness between patches of dim, yellow light. My own shadow became a distorted, gangly creature, sometimes stretching out in front of me, sometimes clinging to my heels. I tried to whistle, to fill the silence, but my mouth was too dry. All I could hear was the scuff of my shoes on the gritty concrete and the frantic thump, 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 thump of my own heart. I was about halfway through, at the very center where the darkness felt deepest. That's when I saw him, a figure, silhouetted against the distant exit light. It was just a shape, a man-sized outline standing perfectly still. My first thought was relief. Another late-night commuter. I wasn't alone. "Hey," I called out, my voice sounding small and weak. "Nasty night, huh?" There was no response. The figure remained motionless. Maybe he had headphones in. I picked up my pace, eager to get past him and out into the open air. The closer I got, the more the unease returned. Something was off about his posture. He was too rigid, too still. He wasn't leaning against the wall or shifting his weight. He was just standing there. As I closed the distance to about 50 feet, he started to move. But he didn't turn around. He didn't walk forward. He started walking backward, toward me. Punto. Toward me. It wasn't a normal walk. It was a slow, deliberate, almost mechanical shuffle. Step. Pause. Step. Pause. Step. Pause. His head was tilted down, so I couldn't see his face, just the dark outline of his body against the faint light. My blood ran cold. Every horror movie trope, every ghost story I'd ever heard, crashed into my mind at once. This wasn't normal. This wasn't right. "Hey, man! What are you doing?" I stammered, my voice trembling. I stopped walking. My feet felt glued to the floor. It kept coming. Step. Pause. Step. Pause. The space between us was shrinking. 30 feet. 25. The air grew heavy, thick with a sense of dread so powerful it felt like a physical weight on my chest. I could start to make out details now. He was wearing what looked like an old, tattered coat even in the summer heat. His movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet on a string, and then I heard it. A faint, rhythmic sound accompanying his backward steps. A soft, wet, scraping noise. It was the sound of his heels dragging on the concrete. But there was something else underneath it. A faint, almost inaudible whisper. It was too low to make out words, but the tone was chilling, like a discordant, looping melody. My brain finally kicked into gear. Fight or flight, and there was no way I was fighting whatever that was. I spun around and ran. I ran back the way I came, my lungs burning, my legs pumping like pistons. I didn't dare look back. I just ran toward the entrance, toward the humid night air. The whispering sound seemed to get louder, chasing me, echoing all around me as if it was coming from the walls themselves. I burst out of the tunnel, gasping for air, and didn't stop running until I was in the middle of the well at Main Street. I leaned against the lamppost, heart hammering against my ribs, and finally risked a glance back at the tunnel's entrance. It was just a dark, empty archway. Nothing. It was as if he had never been there. I took the long way home that night. I've taken the long way home every night since. I don't know what I saw in that tunnel. Was it a prank? A person in crisis? Or was it something else? Something connected to the old stories, the whispers that gave the tunnel its name. All I know is that sometimes, when it's quiet, I can still hear it. That soft, scraping sound, that low, chilling whisper. And I know, with absolute certainty, that some shortcuts are just not worth taking. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had a creepy, unexplainable experience like this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Stay safe out there, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.